on this one. I bought it 2 years ago, and it was my first purchase of a kayak. I used to rent before that. I wanted an inflatable so I could take some of my family out with me. I thought I could fit 3 people in it. Wasn't sure if I was going to love kayaking as much as I wind up loving it. So I thought this was a safe purchase. Got it for about $270 on VM Innovations. You can find them all around, similar price. It's the I think it's deluxe, or like it's the high-end package that came with 2 seats, 2 paddles. The better seats. I would not consider getting the cheap seats at all. They just don't look comfortable. These are decent quality, and they fit the purpose pretty well. I've got 2 of them that came with the package. So, let me put it this way. If it's your only kayak and you're sort of not doing it every weekend, maybe go out like once a month, don't have a lot of experience with hard shell kayaks, you'll probably like it more just out of the box, stock the way it is, than I did. The problems that you run into with this is not related to stability. It's a very, very stable kayak. You don't have to worry about that. It's twofold. It's 2 things. There's no place to brace your feet, so you're paddling completely with your arms, which is okay until you actually get in a hardshell kayak with foot braces and you realize what you've been missing. So much of your speed and your control is actually, when you do a little research on paddling, it's dependent on having the foot pegs, so you can actually, it's like a full body motion where you can push off with your foot and pull or pull at the same time. In the inflatable, what I'd find myself doing in that first few months that I owned it is I'd try to find something to put my feet in, so I'd bury them under these under the side walls in between the floor. And it's okay, but it's just really wasn't comfortable. Again, when I first so over the winter, what I decided to do is really think about what was annoying me about this when I took it out and try to address it. The number one thing was the foot pegs, and it didn't feel as firm and as comfortable as I'd like. It's a 12-foot boat. You can see it's got some play in the middle. If I were to brace it in between like 2 sawhorses, you could see it kind of sags in the middle a little bit. Again, this is the 370. It's a bigger boat, so maybe the 330 doesn't have that problem. But to address the stability of the comfort level of the floor, not the the rocking side to side, but just to make it a better experience overall, and to give myself foot pegs, what I decided to do is build a plywood floor. What I did is I took a cardboard template, laid it on the inside, just basically cut off the edges, taped it together until I got roughly the shape that I wanted here. Took it to my table saw downstairs, used a little bit of skill saw, and basically just cut it into shape. I didn't use marine grade plywood because it was more expensive and I wasn't even sure if it was going to work. So what I did is I just got, I think this is 1/2 inch thick regular plywood, and took some leftover house paint, exterior house paint, and basically primed the bottom, primed the top, and then painted it with exterior grade latex. If I'm going out with 2 people, I needed a place for the person in the front to sit and have some room for their foot. It looks super narrow up there, but you'll see what it looks like when I put in. But then for also me to sit in the back, have a place to brace my foot. So it winds up looking like this. It's not as stretched out as I would like when I'm doing paddling in one of my hard shells, but better than nothing. So I've got some good ability to brace. You can see I can push pretty hard there. And then the other thing is, when I wanted to go out by myself, I wanted to be able to slide this up more towards the middle and still have a place to brace my seats. So that's why I put this additional foot peg in here. This feels a little bit better because you can kind of adjust the back. I don't have, for the folks sitting in the front, what I've got back here is basically a motor mount. And you'll see I took the same principle where I had an extra little brace here screwed in through the back, which gave me more surface area that I could drill through and sink some screws in. Just had some leftover wood laying around, so I used the thickest one as possible. And then took this sort of crossbar. Originally I had a 2x4, it was about this big. But there's two things I didn't like about it. Is even though I measured it to fit like almost perfectly right on top of these sidewalls, what would happen is when you add two people to it, it pushed down even more, so you can see some of the latex paint has rubbed off over the time. So what would happen is it would look like this on the back, and it basically just added extra weight that I didn't think I needed. And here it is in its single configuration. Like this, I actually like the boat quite a bit, especially with the trolling motor, because it's kind of like a toy. It's fun. See, the floor is fairly stable. I've never stood up on it. I don't know if I'm ever going to try, but it gives you a feel. 2 years. So don't freak out if you get a hole in yours. You can repair it, and I can say that with confidence because I did something really stupid before. Over the summer, over the winter, right here. These skegs, they look pretty straight right now, but if you pack them the wrong way, or like say you store them over the winter and it's they're bent, they will retain the bent shape, which means that you'll track in a funky direction. The instructions, it's straightforward to straighten them out. You take a hair dryer, heat it up, and it takes a while to heat it up because it's a hair dryer, and then you bend it back into place and let it cool down. What I would do is I'd take two boards and clamp it in place to make sure it stayed straight while it cooled down, because it could take a while, and I just don't want to stand there holding it for a long time. So brilliant me ignored the instructions where it said absolutely do not use a heat gun to heat these up, and thought, I can be careful. And just got to keep my eye on it. So I did use a heat gun, and it does heat it up really, really fast, even on the low setting, and I was able to quickly start shaping it back into place. What I didn't realize is that it was semi-inflated at that point in time, because I wanted to get a read on what it actually, what is straight in relation to the chines in the hull. And then I started getting this bubble. The bubble started appearing right here, even though the gun wasn't on. It was after I shut the heat gun off, and it just started getting bigger and bigger. And I was like, oh man, this doesn't look good. I thought the PVC was going to completely pop, so immediately deflated it. Put warm water on it, and then gradually cold water to try to stop the swelling. You could see it was stretched really thin. It was probably about like a bubble about this big. And when it cooled off, I was like, ah, crap! I just totaled my boat, and it's in the worst possible spot. It's underneath. So what I did is I cut a big piece of the repair patch and folded over the little, folded in the pieces of PVC that got stretched really thin. Put a ton of glue on it. Even went over the skeg with the glue, and basically applied it. I put bricks on it for the weight. Obviously it was with no air in there. Let it sit for a couple days, and then inflated it. Kept inflating it over a period of the winter, a couple times during the month, just to see if it was holding or not. And I think this year I've had it out probably about 10 or 11 times. And I'm not gentle on this boat. I've been on it quite a bit, and I gotta say it held really well. You look pretty close, and it's starting to come up a little bit. I could just put a bit more glue in there, but I gotta say they make a really good product. And even if you're an idiot like I was and didn't follow the instructions, you know, you could probably DIY fix almost anything wrong with it. And they do get mildewy if you don't clean it off after you take it out on the water. So what I wind up doing every time after I take it out is I spray it down with a garden hose. I hang it up over the porch to dry, let the sun get on it. I open up all the folds, I flip it over, then I wipe it dry with a old t-shirt I had laying around. And maybe like every 2 months or so, I'll take some, it's called Marine 31, and I'll spray it on some of the, you know, mildew stains. And this stuff works great. You don't see any mildew stains in there now because I've been using the Marine 31 every couple months to clean it off. Okay, so I took the trolling motor out. It's my Newport Vessels 36 pound 12 volt one, and attached it here so you can see how you would secure it. What I have here is not ideal, so it would need to sit about this far below the boat, which is lower than I would like it, but I don't want to replace the propellers every time something goes wrong. And you can see it's a little heavy with all this gear on, but that's the idea. The motor, I like it a lot. I got a really good deal on it. One day on the Walmart website, I saw it drop from 130 bucks to 75. And I was like, whoa, that's a mistake. So I ordered it right then and there. What I might do if I had to do things differently though, is get a lighter one. This weighs 18 pounds. And you can't tell it from here, but the problem is when you put it on the boat, put the boat in the water, with nobody sitting in, it leans heavily to the side that the motor's on. I thought about, you know, the original configuration, I actually built a box on this side that I could put a 15-pound weight in to counterbalance it, but, you know, it really just looks awkward, and it's a little bit awkward when you first get in. And what you wind up doing is just shift your weight a little bit to the side in the back, and then you're good. It's not a problem. Obviously this winds up coming down here when you're... Alright, Eagle 370 single person configuration. Got my Newport Vessels 36 pound trolling motor, battery, but the water's chilly. I think I'm going maybe 3.5, 4 miles an hour to bring the fish finder. I haven't rigged it up for this. Not right now, no, it's the end of the season. Try to stay on my left so you don't get caught up in my anchor. I mean my motor.